So topical back with another video. I am Strange Wang, and today for October, we are continuing our Rotten Tomatoes guessing game, guessing game, where we guess the Rotten Tomatoes scores for horror franchises. Today we are doing the Friday the 13th, the Jason Voorhees franchise. Before we get into that, follow us on social media, it's all down in the description box below, along with our coffee count and our Patreon. So donate some money so we don't have to go to a haunted lake for vacation.
All right, first up, we have the original 1980s Friday the 13th.
Honestly, I don't think any of these movies are going to be fresh because I think they're pretty bad. There's just tropes on top of tropes and nudity, which I'm okay with that part, and kills. Creative kills that don't make any sense at the end of the day. But people liked it. This movie spawned 10 movies. I'm not going to go too rotten, but I'm going to go 46%.
Friday the 13th is critically fresh at 63% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. No, I guess I'm kind of, I didn't go too low.
Next up, the following year's Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Part 2. This is the one where Jason comes in play. He has a potato sack over his face. You take a potato sack off, he looks like a ball sack. He's a very ugly man. Oof, ugly. Very, very ugly. It looks like Nate when he wakes up in the morning. It'd probably be lower, but there was the Jason thing. But it doesn't really make any sense why he's there. 34%.
Friday the 13th, Part 2 is rotten at 27%.
Shouts out Big Al. 27 years.
Next up, we have that following year's 1982's Friday the 13th, Part 3.
Man, they're pumping these bad boys out. This is the one where he gets the hockey mask. It's in 3D. See, this is the thing about Rotten Tomatoes. Are they pulling shit from when the movie came out? Because then the 3D probably wasn't bad. Or are they looking back at it now? Because looking back at it now is probably ass. And in my opinion, it's god-awful. There's like shit going in 3D, like a yo-yo, things like that, for no reason at all. Just to be like, we can do 3D. But Jason does have the hockey mask. That catapulted him into pop culture. He went 27%. But, geez, 22%.
You went the right direction, just not far enough, because Friday the 13th Part 3 is rotten at 7%
Jesus
on Rotten
Christ.
Tomatoes. And while you were talking, I checked. The earliest critic review is from the year 2000.
Okay. Interesting.
Next up, we skipped 2 years to get to Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Talk about a cap. And if you're not a young person that's hip, that means that's a lie. This one introduces Tommy Doyle, I believe. He shaves Corey Feldman. He shaves his head and look like Jason. They distract Jason, then kill Jason. Psych, he's not dead. They finally got somewhat of a storyline here with Tommy Doyle, which, if it's new critics, they might appreciate that a little bit more. I'm going to keep it in the 30s, 35%.
Woof. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is rotten at 19%.
Jesus
on Rotten
Christ.
Tomatoes. All right, next up. Again, we only had to wait a year. It's 1985's Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
This
Part
is
5.
the worst. The worst one. So the little kid, Tommy Doyle, he is now in a cuckoo house for teenagers. When character in the beginning, these are like crazy kids, right? Out in the country. these two kids get in an argument because the one guy's singing, the other guy doesn't want him to sing. This is in the country. So these maniacs, for a chore, you let them chop wood. He says, I'm not going to chop wood. You're pissing me off. He kills a kid. The ambulance driver who's in the film 3 seconds, decides that this is the most awful thing in the world. And he's going to dress up like Jason Voorhees with prosthetics. Where he gets the prosthetics from, I don't know. It's summertime, not Halloween time. He gets the prosthetics. He gets the hockey mask, dresses as Jason, and goes and kills all these teenagers that is responsible for killing his son, which only one did. So that makes a lot of fucking sense. But Tommy Doyle's here. He's having PTSD. So you get a fake Jason. I'm going to... You said that one was 7%?
Yes.
I'm going to go 4%.
Not surprisingly, you and the critics disagree again. It's still very rotten, but in their opinion, not the worst. Because Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, is at 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't think we ever done one of these where they've been all that low. This is crazy.
All right, next up, this one's 1986. So far we've only had 1 year in the 80s without a Friday the 13th movie.
Pop them out quick, dog.
And it's Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
So Tommy Doyle comes back. He decides he's going to kill Jason Voorhees once and for all. They fucking grave rob style unbury him, and the body's laying there. They're about to set him on fire, the corpse. And for some reason, whoever buried him decided to put the hockey mask in there as well. And they stabbed the corpse. And then lightning strikes the metal rod that they stabbed him with. Guess who's alive? Jesus. Jason. So if that tells you anything. Is this the one with psychedelic powers?
Years ago, Tommy Jarvis killed infamous hockey mask murderer Jason Voorhees, and the intensity of the experience landed him in a mental institution in his torment of closure. Tommy escapes from the hospital, heads to the graveyard. Jason's buried to dig it up before total annihilation. Yeah, it just talks about him being resurrected, so I don't know.
Okay. I've been saying Tommy Doyle. I think that's Halloween. Tommy Jarvis. That's his name. Yeah, this plot's ridiculous. But I also think this is where they get into the comedy of making fun of these slasher movies. And this is the one where he's fucking pop culture icon solidified. So I want to go back in the 30s and go 34%. I like the fours.
Friday the 13th, Part 6 is the second highest rated so far at 46%.
Okay. Okay, cool. I wanted to go 40s because they do lean into the comedy. There's this great scene of Jason playing with killing paintballers. And they think he's a part of the game for a second. But I'm okay with that one. I'm happy about that.
All right. We skipped a year again. So now in 1988's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
The New Blood. I think this
Do you need it?
Yeah.
Years after the strange drowning death of her father, Tina Shepard
returns
to the site of Crystal Lake and her developing psychic powers, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So in the last movie, they chain Jason up to a rock and let that motherfucker sink. So the girl, she kills the father with her psychedelic powers she didn't know she has. She grows old like a teenager, and she has psychedelic powers, which for some reason Jason wakes up or gets out of there somehow. He tries to kill her. She's using her psychedelic powers to fight Jason, which is new, is fresh. Does it really make sense? Not really. What in this franchise does make sense. So that's a really cool element from it. But the ending is dog shit because she gets redemption because she imagines her father and he bursts out the dock and grabs Jason and brings him down. Doesn't make any sense and kind of shits on the funness of the movie. So I'm going to stay in the 30s because I don't think this is terrible. I think you get some really cool scenes with the psychedelic powers and Jason. Like one scene, she tries to kill him by taking his mask and like putting pressure on it, so like his head explodes, but instead the mask does, and you get like a face reveal. It's kind of corny, but for the time it was probably really cool. 34%. Why not?
Oof, so close. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood is rotten at 32%.
Too off.
When you said the 30s, I was rooting for you. I really was rooting for you. I was like, let him get one.
I came up with this game out of my genius brain, and I've gotten the least right of everyone. Even people who've guest starred who's been on once.
Who don't even watch movies like us. Next up, 1989, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
I really like this movie when he gets to Manhattan. Unfortunately, I guess permits or whatever, most of this movie takes place on a boat. So Jason drives a boat and then gets on another boat. But the stuff in Manhattan is great. He gets in a boxing match with a boxer, and with one punch knocks the dude's head off, and it goes off the building and rolls into a dumpster, and then the dumpster lid closes. Great stuff. They kill him with toxic waste in the sewers of New York, because New York has toxic waste in the sewers, apparently. I want to go kind of high because I like the New York stuff. Like, the stuff in Manhattan is great. Because Jason in Manhattan, that's just like a kooky idea that it's funny. And, like, you don't have to do much, less is more. But he's on the boat for most of the movie, so I'm going to go 24%.
Are you good at division? Because all you had to do was cut it in half. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan is rotten at 12%.
Jeez.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
That's rough. That's really rough.
All right, into the 90s. 93s. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
This one, this might be the worst one, actually. Because you start the movie off with a phenomenal nude scene of this chick butt naked in a New York Mets hat. And Jason, he's like, I smell pussy. And he grabs his machete, he tries to kill her. But she's really a SWAT team like agent. She like lures him into a trap. They blow Jason up into little smithereens. So the point of this movie is when they get there to the hospital to examine why is this dude living, like what's the story with Jason Voorhees. There's this little slithering monster. Not like more like an eel, but with like hands and shit, right? And it has people eat Jason, like parts of Jason. So the doctor eats his heart and he becomes Jason. But he can only be in the bodies for so long until he like dies again. So Jason's soul through this little slug monster goes from body to body until he gets to a Voorhees so he can live again and become Jason. And yeah, that's the plot of this movie. That sounds awful because it is awful. It makes no sense. It's convoluted, but it starts off with a really good nude scene, and because of that nude scene, I will give it 3%.
Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, very much so rotten at 16%.
How is this not the worst one? That convoluted. Jason's in the movie for 5 minutes, and it's called Jason Goes to Hell. That doesn't make any sense.
And your penultimate Jason movie, they did take Friday out of the title, and it's Jason X.
This is like on a ton of guilty pleasures. They're like, we're just going to put this fucker in space. Has a really like well-known kill of the dry ice where he puts her head in there, drowns her, and then smashes her head in little pieces. They killed Jason, but because this is space in the future, he falls into something that turns him to a cyborg. And now he's Cyborg Jason. And it's a guilty pleasure, so it's probably going to... I don't want to go too low. I'm going to go in the teens, 16%.
Oh, so close. Not as close as you were Well, the other time. Of course.
Okay.
But it's rotten at 19%. And finally, we have 2009's Friday the 13th.
I don't think this one's awful. Like, you would have knew the twist anyways. So go ahead and give us Jason Voorhees in a hockey mask. And that's what they do. A lot of sex. A lot of crazy kills. And me personally, I think, you don't need to start this franchise over. Give the people what they want. And a lot of people didn't want it, actually. Who knew? But I don't mind it. I think it's okay. I'm going to go 39%.
Friday the 13th, the 2009 Friday the 13th, is rotten at 26% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Definitely not the worst one. And there's a lot of bad ones. Tell me down below, what's your favorite Friday the 13th film? What's your least favorite? Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.